Hobbs.
And I'm your co-host, Albie Buckland.
Here at the 37 Round Podcast, we like to talk about the latest news, updates on some of our favourite topics. In today's episode, we've got quite a varied episode for you guys. We're talking all things from AJ versus Fury, all the way down to Warzone and the new Nic Mercs deal. So, Bertie Bass, what an exciting episode we've got today. Where do you want to start? We've got quite a lot to cover.
Let's start with the boxing, shall we?
Let's start with the boxing.
Let's start with AJ versus Fury. Really excited about this one. Obviously, two of the greatest British heavyweights, so it's going to be amazing. I can't wait. Obviously, Tyson Fury's not looking too in good shape at the minute, so I'm hoping that he's going to slim down a bit because he's going to need that gas tank against Anthony Joshua. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, it's the fight we've all wanted for such a long time. You know, all the belts coming together. You know, there was that AJ dodging him, dodging Wilder. You know, Wilder looked to be the dominant force in the heavyweight division, while obviously Fury was out of action. And he's come back and he's shown him what a real boxer's all about. He's got the footwork, he's got the speed, he's shown he's got the power because he knocked out, he's knocked out Wilder, which he made that fight look easy, I think.
Yeah, completely. He completely changed his camp, his tactics. And for once, it was nice to see him on the front foot being aggressive.
Yes.
Against one of they call him a freak of nature. Against his box, his one punch power is apparently the best in the business. So, and that's coming from Tyson Fury himself. And he stood in his pocket, took every shot, and brilliant way to win his fight, especially with the way he gets stick for his sort of relaxed style of boxing. Everyone sort of underestimates his punching power, but 60 or 70% of his fights won by TKO. So he needs to be respected. And I hope Anthony Joshua prepares for the fight and prepares for a proper scrap. It's going to be
definitely.
Really good scrap.
And that's the other thing. If you're Anthony Joshua, you're potentially a little bit worried because you've seen the heart and the chin that Tyson's got. Because that first fight with Wilder, that knockout or knockdown, shall I say, in the 12th round, that would have put 99% of men on the planet to sleep for a very long time. And he gets up and he comes back and then he nearly knocks him down. And I feel like if you're AJ, you're looking at thinking, well, I can't beat him on speed. I can't beat him on footwork around the ring. I can't out-punch him because Tyson's got those fast reflexes and he can take a punch. Where does AJ kind of come into this fight and how does he take on someone like Tyson Fury?
I think he needs to be clever. He needs to fight smart. He needs to go back to the Ruiz fight. He's obviously tasted defeat. And Anthony Joshua, he has got a cast iron chin. They all are. Both of these guys are freaks of nature in terms of taking shots. They're both stood in the pockets of really hard, heavy hitters. He got rocked by Ruiz early on in the fight, and I think he was concussed. So that's why I think he got down easier later on in the fight. But I think he needs to come out, fight smart, and wait for Fury to make a mistake. Because I'm hoping Tyson looks at this fight the same as he did with the Wilder fight. Comes out, locks and loads, comes out swinging. Let's put on a spectacular show for the British crowd. But apparently, it's not going to be in England.
Well, I know, it's
crazy.
I think that's
nonsense.
I know, but I think it's because of the current times. But going back to AJ's chin, see, I'm a big fan of AJ and have been for a while. And I think he's a great role model for the sport. He's done a fantastic job in marketing himself. However, if you actually look, and I agree with you, they are freaks of nature. They are big guys. They can bang, they can box, they can take a hit. But his sort of career path has been very carefully guided by Eddie Hearn. And the Ruiz was an upset that shouldn't have happened. If you watch his 8th fight when he fought Dillian White, he got wobbled in the 2nd round. And he's shown that he hasn't got the toughest of chins. I don't believe that, like I said, they're huge shots that will sleep 99% of blokes. But I don't think he's got a solid chin. Klitschko dropped him.
Yep.
He's been wobbled. Ruiz knocked him down 4 or 5 times or whatever it was. And that is a weakness that sticks out to me, that obviously if you're in the boxing world, and Tyson obviously is in the boxing world, he'll know, right, AJ's not got a good chin.
I think Tyson Fury got baptized by Wilder, and he got up. And it was, I'm really surprised the ref even gave him the count. His arms were out to the side.
I know.
He was looking up, completely going over. And it's one of the best. It's one of the best replays ever. And then he's just all of a sudden like shakes off the Tweety Birds, and he's up, and he's like, "Come on, then." And then he sticks on him.
He sticks him, and absolutely sticks it. And I love the memes that were going around of with the Undertaker music. They're back in the day, and he gets dun, and up he gets. He's ready to go. I believe the second fight with AJ and Ruiz, I believe Ruiz thought it was going to be a bit like it was the first time, but AJ came back mentally, and I think, like you said, AJ's tasted defeat and he's come back from it.
Yeah.
But the other thing is the inactivity for Tyson, because Tyson now hasn't boxed since the Wilder fight.
He'll fight anywhere. You know him. He'll be able to jump back in. He doesn't suffer with ring rust. He is one of the only guys that can go straight back in and give him 30 seconds. He gets that range. He knows his own body so well.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like a boxer, and that really, he hasn't got that intimidating factor like Anthony Joshua, like Deontay Wilder. He's just known to be a solid boxer, and he's really, really, really elusive. So I just hope that he goes into this fight the same as he did with the Wilder fight, marches forward and hunts Joshua down, because I don't think Joshua will have an answer for it, to be honest. I love them both to bits, but my prediction now would be Tyson Fury wins on points, and that would be
I agree. I love them both as well. I think they're both great, great boxers, and what they've achieved is phenomenal between them. But I do think Tyson Fury is head and shoulders above the top 10, at the moment in terms of the heavyweight division, because you look at the Klitschko fight from both fighters. So that's the only guy that they've both kind of fought, and Klitschko fought them sort of back to back. I know there was a 2-year gap between the both. Tyson fought him away, Klitschko's home ground, while he was relatively in his prime, still hadn't lost. AJ fights him 2 years later after a loss to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury made that fight against Klitschko look a lot easier than AJ did. AJ gets put down. Although AJ got the knockout, Tyson knows how to fight different styles of boxers. AJ's very stiff, I feel, because I think he joined it quite late. Phenomenal boxer still, but I think he's very stiff. He's very readable. Whereas Tyson Fury's, he's all over the place. His hands are up there. He's like this. He's going. He's waving them in front.
It's the double jab. He's really, a lot of people struggle with that, because what he'll do, he'll really put that lead hand out and he'll sort of blind them with that first shot, and it's like wham, and then that second jab comes in, and he commits to a jab. If you see him, and he's constantly, the guy must be knackered at the end of the fight. He's constantly slipping his head up.
Moving.
He literally looks like he's on fast forward.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it's that fainting, I think, will have a heavy effect on Joshua, because I think Joshua's going to be reacting to that quite a lot, because he's going to fought anybody that gives off that sort of amount of workload in a fight. He's just constantly moving, and if he feels like you're getting stiff on your feet, he will punish you, and he's not scared to back you up against the ropes either, and then put in some dirty boxes. I think that's where Fury does really well, that sort of range. And then when he gets inside, he's really good with the dirty boxing. But Joshua's got that mean uppercut where he's not. Obviously, Klitschko got caught with that uppercut. Really interesting. I always like to think this Tyson Fury is a heavyweight Floyd. That's him. He does the shoulder roll. He's got the shoulder tapped out. Yeah, so
it's like his old man says, isn't it? You got to be Floyd, you've got to be Lennox Lewis, you got to be Mike Tyson, you got to be all these people to beat Tyson Fury, which I think is brilliant. But it's the other thing that Tyson has got is the mentality that is from his upbringing and how he's a born and bred fighter, and he knows how to get into people's head, and there's nothing that AJ could say that will rattle him or derail him. There's nobody that can derail Tyson, whereas Tyson can easily derail his opponents. And Klitschko came into that fight confused, and I think he won it mentally first and then in the ring.
But Tyson's got he's been in a lot more wars in his career. He's been cut heavily. He's come through adversity. I can't remember who, you have to excuse me, who he was fighting. He had a massive cut above his eye. Doctor nearly stopped the fight and he come out and won the fight. So he's been through that. He's been through the adversity. And like I said, his punching power isn't respected, which is nonsense, really, because he, like I say, I think it's something like 70% of his wins are by TKO. And he just knackers his opponent out. Later in the round, he keeps his power throughout the fight, where we see Joshua sometimes drops off, his shots aren't hitting as hard. He doesn't then throw as many shots later in the fight. So that's when the points start to drop. And then what you will see is a real explosive shot 2 or 3 times throughout the later rounds. And that's why some of his wins knockouts have come in the later rounds, because he sort of saves a bit in the gas tank. If he saves anything in the gas tank for Tyson, he's just going to miss. And Tyson's going to get him on points. It needs to be a nice early knockout for Joshua, or it's going to be a point finish by Tyson. I see it going very similarly to the first Wilder fight that Tyson had. Very similar to that. That's how I see it. But we know from last week, my prediction was completely wrong, which I don't know if you want to talk about Jake Paul and Ben Askren. It leads nicely onto that, doesn't it?
I think we should. Yeah, it's how wrong we both were with that fight. That is like shocking.
Yeah, I bought the fight. I didn't wait for the highlights the next day. Stayed up to watch it, and I was like, right, Ben, come on, Ben, let's see what you've got. Was really surprised. Jake Paul, he's got a great foundation. He's been trained by the right guys of a real high standard, and they've sculpted him from the start. So there was none of this stupid wild overhand rights. It was 1-2 straight down the pipe. And that combination that hit Askren was beautiful. And that second shot was so committed. He twisted his hips into the shot. He has got knockout power, and I think he's got a bright future in boxing. No matter what anyone says about the guy, I don't like the way he acts. Don't like the way he goes about cussing people out. He's really arrogant, but he can box. He can box. And I want to see him carry on fighting the MMA guys, because their striking isn't as good. It's boxing at the end of the day. Boxing's a sport. To me, it's not a mixed martial art. It's a martial art. It's a sport, and boxers are very good at boxing. Very good at boxing, but fighters sometimes aren't very good at boxing. And this is what I'm looking forward to. Maybe somebody that's respected in the UFC for their striking. Somebody like Conor McGregor. I think that fight will never happen. But Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz would be a great matchup for him. Nate Diaz and him would go at it, and that would be a brilliant fight. And I think then that would actually show people that Jake Paul can box, rather than these sort of, you only see him for a couple of minutes each time that he fights, because he's realistically fighting people that he's much better than. Not that I think we were trolled a little bit by Ben Askren. He's gone in there for the money. He showed videos of him training. He pulled in all the right trainers, but he didn't show up looking great. I think he was there for a payday, which is fine. He was, like you said, he had hip surgery. I don't think he's fought since he's had hip surgery. He's retired, so he come out of retirement to go into boxing, which he's not comfortable with. What would be good is to see him wrestle Logan Paul, because Logan Paul's quite a horrible wrestler. That would be funny.
It would. But do you know what I think's sad though? If he did do it for a payday, that's on your record forever, and he's always going to be known as the MMA guy that got knocked out by Jake Paul in the first round or second. First round, that's what I mean. Was it first round or second round? First round.
First round knockout.
That's what I mean. Like, and I just hope he didn't take the payday, because I don't know if Jake Paul has got knockout power. He's knocked out a YouTuber, a basketball player, and a 37-year-old or 39-year-old hip surgery MMA fighter who can take a beating. Don't get me wrong, but if he was there for a payday, he's not going to have turned up in the best shape, the best, I think the cruiserweight division is a very tough division. You're heavy guys, you're big guys.
Against boxers, you're right. Yeah. Against boxers, you're right. That's why I want to see him fight some more MMA guys. Guys that walk around, think they're the man, but they're really in a street fight, they would absolutely maul you. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
But when they're restricted to 2 hands, they don't respect boxers. They don't respect the gloves. And when you get hit by a glove, it jars your brain. When you get hit by those 4 ounces, they need to hit you on the chin or somewhere, or in the temple, somewhere soft, a precise shot to really knock you out. But with gloves, you can hit him. I think that's like the top of the head, top side. Hit him there, and he just knocked him clean out.
He was definitely knocked out. I don't think he threw the fight in the sense of getting knocked out.
No.
He definitely took a payday. Turned up a bit, looked a bit out of shape. Yeah, I'll go in there. He probably thought, I'll do the 8 rounds, get the payday. He'll win on points, but at least I can say, well, I'm not a boxer. But to get knocked out in the first round and like Sparko, like spin round almost knockout, that's the embarrassing thing.
And then he stumbled forward, and the ref was like, "No, mate."
When do you think? When you think sort of Jake Paul goes from like these celebrity fights to being real professional boxing fights? Because even if he does fight Nate Diaz, that's still a celebrity fight, MMA versus boxing. When do you think he does make the transition to be a professional boxer, challenge for a world title, and then go down in his career as a professional boxer? Or
he needs to fight Tommy Fury.
Yes.
But he's not ready for Tommy. Tommy Fury, I know my prediction was wrong last week. Tommy Fury at the minute would take his head clean off. And Tommy Fury has fought professional boxers.
Well, he started as a professional.
Yeah, exactly. And he's came straight into it. Obviously, he got his fame through a reality TV show, which is fine. And then he's a really soft sort of guy, really nice. Then he comes across really well, and then when you see him in the ring, absolute animal, and he's built as well. He really looks after his physique. He's got like a body of a Greek god. I think his boxing as well is very good. He's got real knockout power. And that fight would not be sensible for Jake Paul at the minute.
No,
Jake Paul needs to fight. I would say Jake Paul's in his sort of amateur stage of his career.
Yeah.
And these amateur boxing fights that he's having, they're exhibitions. They're great for him to sort of get his feet wet. But then when he gets in there with a real boxer, he better be ready for a war, because Tommy Fury, they keep calling each other out. It wouldn't be as big a payday, wouldn't have as many pay-per-views just because Tommy's not well known. But I would love to see that fight, and I'd love to see Jake Paul standing there toe-to-toe and have a good fight with him. I don't want Jake Paul to get knocked out. I think he's a great boxer, and I really do think he's got a real good foundation to build from. He's in shape, he's athletic, and he's really put some time in to the training camp. So,
definitely. He has shown that hard work pays off. He's gone from not doing any combat career as a youngster to then throwing himself 100% into this, training every day. There's no question that he's not working hard, if that makes sense. He's shown that he is giving it 110%, and the results are what we're seeing now. But yeah, I agree with you. I think you said it perfectly in last week's one, where you said, and you kind of touched it now, he's kind of at an amateur stage, but the MMA fighters he's fighting are kind of at that prospect level. Do you know what I mean? He's above an amateur, but he's fighting those MMA guys that would be like a low level boxer, like a journeyman type thing. And I think, it's interesting. It's interesting to see where his career is going to go and who he's fighting next. I would love to see the Tommy Fury fight, but again, I don't think, like you said, he's not ready for that one. But who knows?
Let's touch back on knockout power. I wanted to mention this earlier. It's like, I've hit people hard in training, in sparring, and I thought, that landed flush, and I haven't managed to even wobble anybody. So I think knockout power, it is difficult to have, and I think only a few guys really have true potential knockout power, especially in the lower weight divisions. And I think, to be honest, Jake Paul has got that knockout power.
Yeah. No.
I just wanted to touch back on that. But in terms of this Floyd Logan, that's a payday. I'm gonna be suckered in. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna love it. And I'm gonna love watching Logan Paul. I think Logan's actually quite a nice guy. Watching some of his videos, but
it's bizarre.
Beat up really badly.
he's going to get beaten up again. His record's going to be like 3 losses now. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what this guy's doing. Interesting fight would be, I think, KSI versus Jake Paul, because it's that sort of, he beat the brother. You know, I reckon Jake Paul win that fight because KSI can't box. Jake Paul can box. I think that would be an interesting fight. Hopefully that happens further on down the line, but who knows? The next one we've got on the list is my man Masvidal versus Usman. I don't know anything about Usman. I only know Maz, as we know from last week. I went online, saw Twitter the next morning, saw the crazy meme of the knockout of him getting absolutely spun. And I was like, what is going on?
That was a really vicious knockout, and he the problem is with Masvidal, he didn't respect Usman's power, and even in the first fight, he went 5 rounds of Usman, and he didn't feel his power. Yeah, that was a big mistake. He went in there hands down, and he got caught with a real flush, hard punch. His head spun completely into his shoulder, and he was knocked out cold. And I was actually quite surprised to see Masvidal knocked out because he's well known for being quite conditioned.
Well, that's what I mean. He's the only MMA fighter that I know now, and I actually watched the fight. First round was good. It was scrappy, what you expected. The commentators were saying that Usman is a wrestler and he likes to go to the ground. He tried to take him down. Maz sprawled it a bit. Then it went to the cage. Then he got him down. But Maz was doing the right things to get up. He got out of the clinch on the cage and created space. And all the commentators were saying, that's amazing to see from him because he's a brawler. He's not a wrestler. Usman is the superior wrestler. And they were like, wow, Usman's broke out. This looks a good fight. At the end of the round, they squared up against each other. Usman's doing his chat. He's like, yeah, because not Usman, sorry. Masvidal squares up and he's like, yeah, doing his chat. And it was a typical, I thought it was going to, if it carried on like that, it'd have been fight of the night because they were both banging and they were both, Usman wasn't trying to really go for the takedown. And Maz was working the kicks, kicking the leg. I think everybody's going for this injure the leg since that Dustin Poirier versus McGregor. Everybody seems to be going for this calf kick, leg kick.
Yeah, you say that though. McGregor is the master of that because McGregor lost to Diaz, and then he boxed Diaz. Yeah, and Diaz is a very, very good boxer, but with McGregor, he has got this sort of karate stance, and his kicks are what throws people off. And he didn't really kick in that fight. He threw a few 360 like wheel kicks, showing off a bit to the crowd. But that first fight, he lost bad. The second fight, he came in real focused, real determined, and he chopped Diaz's leg so bad that he ended up hurting his own leg, where he kicked it that much in his foot. And there's a really good sort of slow-mo or a shot of him backstage. He's on crutches and he's going, doubt me now, doubt me now, doubt me now. And he broke his own foot kicking Diaz's leg. And that won in the fight because that then took the sting out of Diaz's punches. So ever since then, you're right. And then Poirier used that against McGregor. But what you'll find is in the rematches, I think it's more, you've got more chance of losing your rematch if you've won it in the first place. That's how south these rematches go. Because if you lose, you learn. Yeah. And if you win, you don't really learn much. You learn how to win in that occasion. But when you lose, you're like, cool, I won't let that happen again. And then you don't.
Well, that's the thing. They go into you win. You then go into the second fight, go, well, I'm gonna do the similar game plan as what I did to the first one because I know that worked. Whereas, like I said, when you lose, you learn. So they have gone, right, I'm not going to do this. I've saw where I've overcommitted in these areas. Let me ease off a bit. Let me, work a different leg, work a different angle, whatever it may be. And you're right. You have to lose to learn. And if you win, you don't learn anything.
They call it in boxing a look, don't they? You have different looks that you can give. And obviously there's a lot with boxing. You've obviously got orthodox, southpaw. They're your sort of 2 looks you can give. But in mixed martial arts, there's so much more you can give. You can give a sort of a brawler stance, really tuck your chin in, hands in, or you can be your complete opposite and sort of do the Bruce Lee vibes.
Yeah.
Arms completely out, really, really rangy, really long. And that's when McGregor shines.
Yeah,
When
that's what I was
really
going to say.
long.
He's got that hop as well, then he sort of hops like between front foot, back foot, that sort of weird move. And it's like
the only hop he does now is he hops between bloody weight classes and then goes up too much and loses. He should have stayed at 145. He beat Alvarez. Oh, when he beat Alvarez at 155, I loved that. That was a brilliant, brilliant fight. Went in there, knew exactly what he's going to do, and he fights best against these wrestlers. He really does do well against wrestlers because he's like Masvidal. You touched on it with Usman. He can sprawl, and Usman will find this as well. He would be a bit wary of taking Masvidal down because he gets caught on the way in. The same as everyone that McGregor's fought. When they're doing a takedown, he makes sure he's getting some real nasty sort of knees or an elbow. So they sort of think about, actually, is it worth me doing it? Is it worth me trying to take him down? I really don't want to catch a knee again. So yeah. But that Masvidal Usman fight, great fight. I feel really bad for Masvidal. I'd have liked to see him win and then come back and do a trilogy because that is a brilliant fight, and that's your striker versus your wrestler, and a really high level wrestler against a really high level striker. But Usman had obviously been in the gym on the pads, and he cleaned him out, flush knockout, one of probably the knockouts of the year so far.
Yeah,
and as he said, he carried on punching him in the face because the punches were super necessary.
Yeah.
Karma. That's karma. And
you know what it is?
I don't like to see that, but it's karma.
I believe that as well, because he done it to Ben, and then he was very cocky and arrogant about it, and now he's had one of the flash knockouts of 2021. Do you know what I mean? That spun him. You can even, when you see, even if a picture, sometimes you can see someone get knocked out, and you think, oh wow, that's gonna. The picture looks like it hurts because his face is sideways, his arm is swinging.
You see the spray as well?
Yeah.
The spray of sweat that come off it. It was a really horrible knockout, but it's again really spectacular to watch because it's when you can see his lights go out in slow mo and his eyes just roll, and it's a horrid knockout. But that's why we watch it, right? That's what we're watching it for. We want to see that. We want to see the violence, but we also want to see good sportsmanship, and I don't think those punches were necessary. But karma, he done it to Ben Askren.
Ben
Askren was out cold as well, like really bad.
Yeah.
So,
but that's he was very humble in defeat at the end. It did seem to humble him at the end, and I think that
have to be. You have to be. What's your other move? Otherwise, you look like a complete idiot. Live on TV at a massive pay-per-view event. McGregor does the same. McGregor's humble in defeat. A lot of them, there's not been many fighters that lose a fight and they sort of up in arms unless it's an upset decision. We saw Eddie Alvarez. I'm not sure if you watched the One Championship. Eddie Alvarez was in a fight last 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. And he's got the guy up against the cage and he's hitting him. They're on the floor, but the guy's turned his head to the cage and exposed the back of his head. So Eddie's carrying on punching him, and he's punching him in the back of the head, but the guy's putting his head down on purpose. So it's like, what do you do in that situation? Is Eddie supposed to like evaluate the situation? No. The referee comes over and gives him a red card and disqualifies him. So he lost. And it was a really sort of it was a shocking. And I don't agree with the stoppage. I think the guy is a bit of a tool to be. He could see him. I'll show you the replay after this, but he's pushed his head all the way to the side and he's got his hand here protecting here, but he's not protecting the back of his head with this arm or anything. He's just getting punched in the back of the head and complaining to the ref about it. Ends up being stretched off, which you don't want to see. And then Alvarez now has got that disqualification record, which isn't great, and I don't think it was his fault. Obviously, they're paid in there to inflict as much damage on the other person as possible within the rules, but sometimes the rules are a bit... so in one championship, you can knee a downed opponent in the head, which is wrong. I think that's wrong. But then if somebody gets tagged a few times on the back of the head, it's a disqualification. So there's definitely got to be a happy medium somewhere with the rules. I think the UFC have got it pretty much bang on. But one championship, I think we'll see, you're going to see a lot more of One Championship. They're coming through the ranks. They're getting a lot more popularity. You've got Thai boxers such as Johnny Wayne Park coming through and fighting for them. So yeah, Liam Harrison as well. He's a really good Thai boxer in the UK. But One Championship do other events. They do Muay Thai Grand Prix, where it's Thai boxing but with MMA gloves. It's one of the best fights you'll ever see. They're absolutely brilliant. Next week we should definitely do a slot on the 4-ounce gloves Thai boxing. I'll make
a note of that now. 4-ounce Thai boxing.
Yeah, you love it. It's brilliant. And sometimes they do it in the octagon as well. So It's like really enclosed, nowhere to run. Yeah, Liam Harrison, look him up. Great guy. Yeah, great guy. And he's known for his sort of leg kicks. He destroys people's legs with his leg kicks. Yeah.
Well, there you go. We've got next week's episode sorted then.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Right, on to our final segment, and that is Nicky Mercs and Warzone. So
we've been desperate to talk about some Warzone on here.
I know. And now's the time. Big Nicky Mercs signs the deal to become a FaZe owner. I'm just looking at it now. Nic Mercs is renewing his contract with FaZe Clan for a 3-year extension. Also part of the deal is he becomes a part owner.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting because I don't know how it works with these gaming organizations, because I don't know if it's because he's the most subscribed Twitch and he's bringing in the numbers and it's shining a great light on FaZe Clan. You would have thought a lot of them would be, sort of partners. Swag, that's been there for a very long time with FaZe. I don't know how long Nic Mercs has been with Wiz. He's obviously just renewed the 3-year deal, so he's not been there that long.
Yeah, he was prior to that. He was lined up to do some bits with 100 Thieves, which is FaZe Clan sort of rivals. He got stitched up by one of his friends, Nade Shot. They had it on a verbal agreement that Nick would build up his view base, so he'd get his Twitch channel going, his YouTube channel going, build the brand as what we know it as, the M-Fam, which I'm well into.
We both are.
I think his videos are great. He's a real good personality, brings a lot. He sort of makes gaming exciting and fun to watch, where a lot of the time, especially through my early days of playing with the Call of Duty franchise, it took it very seriously and it wasn't always fun to play. It was very serious. I used to play MLG, used to play in tournaments, and it's very stressful. But it's really nice to see a guy with a big personality come through like Nic Mercs, and really put his name to it. And I think that's why he's probably the most well-known player on Warzone at the minute, and that's probably what they're giving it. And he's a great businessman as well. So
that's what I mean. It's a very strange thing that I think the Nade Shot snaking him deal is terrible. I don't know, that's just stabbing your friend in the back right there. But I don't know why you would do that, because he's he's one of the best players at the game on Warzone, and at the time it was mainly Fortnite, wasn't it, that he was big into. Yeah. He's done a lot of tournaments, won a lot of tournaments. He's now the biggest streamer on Twitch, most subscribed streamer on Twitch. He's got a huge following across all of his platforms. His YouTube channels, all of them have cleared 1 million already, and that's someone that any organization would want as part of your team and promoting. And if you've got him as a co-owner, it's only going to send your franchise and your visibility out into the world through the roof. So I think for FaZe Clan, it's a phenomenal deal for them. Or we don't know the actual ins and outs of the deal yet, because it's sort of only just sort of been released. But I think it's a great deal for FaZe Clan.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think he's worth the money, and definitely worth the sort of, he's definitely worth giving a chunk of the pie to, because he brings a lot to the table. He's a very, very good businessman. He knows how to do business. He's doing things that are different. I mean, I logged on the other night. He's got like 30,000 people watching him in the gym.
Oh yeah, I know.
And I was captivated. I now try and follow some of his workouts. He posts workouts every single night. He looks after himself. he also does, I think what he needs to do, is do a podcast. He'd be great on a podcast. Him and Timmy on a podcast, you can imagine, and having guests on like Swag. I think that would do a sort of a Joe Rogan numbers.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Even Joe Rogan on that TV show, on that podcast, sorry, they're talking about Nic Mercs, talking about the gaming.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And Joe couldn't believe, he goes, I thought gamers were like all young lads, spotty teenagers. And then he sees Nic Mercs like swole.
That's the thing. He's sort of like a lad's lad and a gamer. Do you know what I mean? He's got it both. But I'm just looking now that they've actually got quite a few owners at the FaZe clan. Nic Mercs isn't actually officially on there at the time of us recording this, but a lot of the talents are co-owners. So, you know, they're doing a great thing. They're only going to get bigger and better the more they go. Nic Mercs, with the new Warzone update that just went out and stuff, he was clearing 400,000 live viewers on Twitch, which is insane.
Yeah, and I've known about FaZe as probably they were the only sort of clan, is what we used to call them. They're the only sort of clan that I knew about all the way from being a teenager in school playing Call of Duty. They were the only ones, and they were the guys to beat. And they're known. The thing is, they're known for their sniping. FaZe clan, they're known for sniping. That's what it is. And you've got to have a real special talent to join that FaZe membership. But with Nic, he doesn't just snipe. He's a really, really good. He's not just a good Warzone player. He's a great content creator, and I think he's a great ambassador for gaming in general, because it gets a lot of bad stick. A lot of people are called lazy and stuff if they like. I like playing video games because it's fun and it's our generation. It's something that we've all done for as long as we can remember. What was your first console, James?
First console way back in the day, or first console with multiplayer online?
I'm talking NES. I'm talking Nintendo. Come on, what's your first
Sega
one?
Mega Drive with Mortal Kombat.
How old are you?
28. Sega Mega Drive with Mortal Kombat.
Was that your mum's bloody one? That's old.
It probably was. To be fair.
Mine was a Nintendo 64 and GoldenEye.
Pokemon edition. I had the Pokemon edition.
Pokemon edition Nintendo 64. Yeah, those were the days, and obviously Mario Kart, Mario 64. Brilliant games. But that takes you back, James. And obviously, when we were in college together, we used to play Call of Duty. So it's one of those things. It's now part of most of our lives growing up. I think the console I spent most time on was the 360.
Yeah.
On Call of Duty 4. I think I had something like 30 days logged. Didn't have a girlfriend. My mum used to come in at 1 o'clock in the morning and tell me to shut up because I'm screaming at somebody on an American server, absolutely abusing them. It was looking back on it, it was funny. At the time, I was so stressed. I was so stressed at the time, but it's nice to now mature and sort of relax whilst playing the game.
Well, that's the thing. Well, straight after this podcast, we're jumping in with the other boys.
We are.
Ready for some Warzone. So we're looking to wrap this one up pretty sharpish. But
Should we talk about the new map?
New map, yes. New map. Thoughts on the new map. What do you think? How do you think it went with the 3-day live event?
So we done the event. We thought it was bish bash bosh, 3 parts in one evening. It was really, I don't know if it was because I'm on a really old Xbox or what it was. I don't know if it's because we were all on consoles, but the initial part 1, slow. We ended up getting into a game, got kicked out 3 or 4 times, got back into it, realised it was a Halloween event from last year, just zombies. And then it was like, right, and then you're going into Rebirth at night. Okay, that makes sense. All right.
For a whole day.
And then the thing is, I remember the lads, we were all sat on there and they were going, when's part 2? And I said, oh, it's tomorrow. Joking. I was completely joking, right? And everyone went, oh no, I'm going off then. I said, no, I'm completely joking. Then we looked on the Call of Duty website at the timelines, and it's like part 2's tomorrow. And we couldn't even play Warzone. We were out to play Rebirth at night with everybody rose skinned up. Oh my God, it was terrible. But I thought they brought it back. That cinema shot of that nuke going off, I had chills. We all had chills. It was brilliant. We've all played it for a long time, Verdansk. I think it's a great map, but it's a cop-out from Call of Duty at the minute because they're focusing on that. They're focusing on the Cold War, Modern Warfare integration, trying to get two engines working together. And I just don't think they've had the time, on top of the accusations, on top of getting the cheat, anti-cheat in the game. They've just stalled on the map. It's a great map, don't get me wrong. There's some really, really good bits in it. Summit instead of Dam now. Every single building has had an uplift. And even the cubby holes in Storage Town have got lights now because of the bloody road skins, which now I hope aren't too much of a problem. Jay's not going to be happy.
I know.
Our teammate, he's really not going to be happy. He runs a road skin 24/7.
Do you know what though? I like you said, that night when we tried to do live event, we only got 3 games on the whole night. We all jumped on early. We had the 20-minute server queues, which was actually 40-minute server queues before you got on. We done the one, managed to do the part 1, done that, rebirth for a whole day. And we only got 1 game of that as well. But the new map, I have to say, nothing's changed, but everything's changed in a weird way. And it's like, I'm preferring this map. There's more cover, more gunfights. Do you know what it feels like? It feels like paintballing because you're sliding into one cover, sliding into another cover. So it has brought that fun element back to it. Like now, when you're running across, when you used to run across map, you'd be getting sniped, meted, whatever it would be. Now you've got quite a lot of cover to comfortably move from building to building, building to building. And I love the scaffolding part of array. That is just brilliant. I love sitting up there with a sniper, pinging people off. Ding, ding, ding. Me and Ollie played earlier today or yesterday. We had a proper sniping sesh. We got 16 kills.
Cue the comments. You're going to get absolutely rinsed for pitching a tent up there and camping, aren't you? That's what's going to happen.
But no, it's good. You know, I'm glad they updated it. I think we said on the night then, the live events aren't quite up to what Fortnite's capable of doing just yet. You know,
nowhere near. I mean, they do virtual concerts. I mean, Travis Scott was doing a live gig virtually. Don't get me wrong, he had a character on stage, and it went off, and it was trending. I mean, the amount of times you click on like a Google search engine and you see the news that comes up for that day, Fortnite appears a lot more than what Warzone does, and because not so much recently, Fortnite sort of dropped off the radar. You've got big creators now coming over to Warzone. Cypher, who's the sort of Cypher PK, who's like the Fortnite king, has now transferred over to Nic Mercs' team, and he's a really great guy. So Tim the Tapman was also quite dominant within the sort of the Fortnite world, and he's over on Warzone. They don't stream anything else. It's really popular. It's high in demand. And I think it's going to stay that way for the next 5 to 10 years. As long as they keep it going as a side piece. The only issue I see is if when Call of Duty is now going back to World War II in the next version, it's going back to Activision. So if I'm just worried that Verdansk is going to now be Verdansk 1942, and I really don't want that. Just completely different. There was a big rumor that it was going to be in the Russian mountains. Everyone was really hyped for it, but it never happened. But for now, this map works, and I could play this map for another year. It's completely different, feels different, plays different. We've noticed that it plays different, and I'm excited to play it. So, which I was getting a bit boring. I'm really excited to go play it. So.
I think it's got to stay with Activision though, because Cold War is a very poor game. I think it's one of their worst ones they've made. This recent Cold War.
It's a different engine, different gaming engine.
Different engine.
Completely different
just
dynamic.
Feels basic, looks basic. Whereas the Activision Modern Warfare and what they built for Warzone is crisp, clean, feels great. So, but no, it's interesting. Like I said, I hope it doesn't go back to 1942. That would just be, you know.
We'd probably go play Fortnite or Valorant or something.
I know, but did you see? Battlefield are looking to release a battle royale now because of how popular the Call of Duty one is.
But have you played Battlefield?
No.
one of the best games for realism, and it sort of balances the realism with playability, but it's very difficult, especially when you're up against people that have been playing it a long time. It's really slow. You can't really quick scope. It's a really slow paced game, but it is so fun. I could sit there on Battlefield, especially Battlefield 1. I remember sitting there and playing it for like 6 hours straight and then not even realising what the time was, just because it's a beautiful game as well. And most of their maps are ginormous. And you can have 50v50, like team deathmatch. Yeah. Imagine that. It's like ground war, but
the whole map.
Beautiful. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you my Battlefield 1 in the post, obviously because of COVID. I'll send it in the post and I'll let you play it. It's a brilliant game.
Fantastic. Well, that kind of concludes this week's podcast. I want to give a quick shout out to Ivan. I sent him a message with last week's podcast and he absolutely loved it. So he's our latest subscriber. So Ivan, thank you for subscribing. We'll probably play on Warzone with you later on tonight. That's it. That's it for us guys here at 37 Rounds Podcast. We shall see you again next week. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.